Waiting on Ryan. Start the lives, I suppose. Let's go into YouTube. Let's go live. Well, that's not good. What happened to my... Lord. Those who are listening, welcome to Whoa, what? Shouldn't have stopped. Shit. Crap. So by accidentally closing out of the app, I. Damn it. Ryan.
Jackson, how you doing?
Wait. Something happened to my volume. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sounds good. Let me log on to Spaces here real quick.
Dude, I screwed up because I accidentally closed out of the app
Oh yeah.
and it like saved it as a minute long recording. So I'm gonna set up a new one.
Okay. No worries.
That is so ridiculous. Okay. I'm gonna start the new spaces real quick. I haven't actually gone live on anything yet, so
Okay.
let's see. Spaces, Nebraska, preview pod. Join in on the con. Okay. All right, I sent you an invite for the spaces.
Okay.
And then, let's see. Finally got it going. It only took way too much time.
Oh, I just saw Peyton Manning's gonna be the guest picker for college game day tomorrow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's a Tennessee guy, so and they're
Yeah.
in Knoxville, I think,
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah, my brother is a freshman at Tennessee right now, so he'll be there at game day tomorrow.
Never let him forget the Music City Bowl.
No, I won't for sure.
Yeah,
All right. So your space here. Wait, it says ended.
because I started a new one.
Okay, so I can just still click on this one then.
We'll go to. I just put up a couple new tweets with it.
Okay.
Um,
From your personal Twitter.
End it. What? Oh crud!
What's going on?
Anytime I switching users ends it.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize that. I should have realized that. Okay. Shit. Well, this is bad. But at least we're not actually live on Facebook or anything yet, so that's okay. And I gotta fix the lighting in here. Okay.
Can you give me a glass of water if you have a minute? Thank you.
And on the convo. Start now. Okay, I'm inviting you to this one. Okay. So now I'm going to go. Okay. I think we're finally good. I'm live on the spaces. Are you getting in?
Yeah. Is it the one that you just tweeted from the Blitz account?
Yeah. No, the one I just tweeted from mine because I can't go into the Blitz account. I'm gonna have to just retweet it on there from my own.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it. What up? What up?
All right, here we go.
Ryan is getting ready to join. David, thanks for taking part tonight.
All right, you gotta. I think you gotta give me like whatever.
I see you.
Permission.
You're on here.
All right. All right. Can you like approve my like talking request or whatever?
Add a speaker. Okay,
My mic is on now.
you're good.
Sounds good. All right. Yep.
So the only problem with this setup is we end up with like double audio,
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
which I don't know how to fix that.
Does it sound okay? Like when we play it back?
No, you can actually hear the echo. That's what's
Oh, you
frustrating.
can?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me go turn on the light. Ugh. Ugh. I'll go throw some on. Hang on. So Ryan, you probably haven't paid attention to the game tonight, huh? It's a crappy game.
No, I need to turn that on though.
It's like
Board game.
Commanders and Bears. Could it get much worse?
Yikes.
That's
At least the Bears look pretty cool today with the orange.
yeah. They got that alternate thingy going on. All right, this looks better. I'm trying to think. What if I? All right. I'm just trying to think how I can handle the double audio thing.
I thought there was like some sort of echo cancellation.
Is there? Noise reduction.
Wait, do you see the little taskbar on the right where it says echo cancellation?
Yeah, it's not going to let me do it while we're
Can't
recording.
change while
That's
recording.
yeah, that's the problem.
So could we just like go off the air real quick and then change it and go back on?
Well, but I mean, the echo is coming from being able to hear my phone on there. That's the problem. So like that
So you
doesn't.
just like mute your phone. Will it still work?
Yeah, but then I can't hear whoever's, you know, talking on here because, like,
They're not on Riverside. They're just on Twitter, right?
yeah, I. Well, now we're live on this, so listen live. Oh, actually, I might have the answer. Well, now we're live on this, so listen live. Oh, actually, I might have the answer. Okay, that doesn't work. Well, okay. Because if I try to listen live there, it's delayed. I'm kind of thinking I'll just like lower the volume on this so it's like harder to hear, and then when somebody speaks up, I'll turn it up.
Yeah, that works.
That's probably the best we can do. So, all right, want to get into it?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let me go live on Facebook. Video about okay. Let's see, off the rails. We'll call it no frost warning this time. Okay. Go live. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go to my own, and I'm going to go to the Blitz page, and I'm going to share it. Actually, I might make that share public. That might make sense. All right. Okay, yeah, and I think we've been streaming on YouTube, so I think we're good. Cool. All right. So, yeah, what up, Boilermaker Nation? We're back. It's Jackson and Ryan here previewing Purdue's upcoming home tilt at night against Nebraska under the lights. Exciting times after a couple road wins. The Boilers are coming off victories at Minnesota and at Maryland. Both difficult to do. The second one, this Maryland game, we got a little lucky, but we got it done, right? That's what counts. So, yeah, you expect them to come back to a raucous home crowd. It's going to be great. It's been sold out for weeks, so it's going to be a huge group of people coming to see this. I expect. I expect it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be going with my normal group. It's the green chili tailgate, which my dad does, that I always look forward to. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, yeah. Ryan, I'm just curious. What were your thoughts about Maryland? I mean, it was crazy. It came down to the last couple minutes. Just what do you think?
Yeah, the degree of difficulty was awfully high these past 2 weeks, but like I tweeted on Saturday evening, I think you have to give your hats off to Jeff Brom and the coaching staff. I especially want to shout out Coach English. He really did a nice job. Maryland did move the ball, but Purdue's defense really stiffened again in the third quarter, especially in the fourth quarter late in the game. They did allow that touchdown, but then got the stop on the 2-point conversion.
Right.
I think Purdue did get a little fortunate with some calls, especially on the 2-point conversion. I think that could have gone either way. But ultimately, just a gritty Purdue win, a win that makes me think, hey, something special is going on with this team. And I'm looking ahead to the schedule. Obviously, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But I think the schedule kind of opens up for Purdue here with the remainder of October, and then into November. I think really all Purdue's goals are right in front of the Boilermakers.
Oh, you bet.
Get healthy and just keep rolling. But I think Jeff Brom has done a really nice job with this team. Some heartbreaking losses, some really disheartening results early on.
Yeah.
We know about Penn State, we know about Syracuse, but Jeff Brom, has really worked some magic with this team, and it's still frustrating to me that a vocal minority of this Purdue fan base just refuses to see it. But I think Purdue should be thrilled with this win. Purdue should just kind of look where it's at right now and say, why can't we win the Big Ten West?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you kind of wonder too, is this team maybe coming together at the right time? Just because, I think we'll start to see Aiden O'Connell get healthier. Encouraging words, it was either yesterday or Tuesday where he said he's feeling better. He feels like he's getting healthier, which is great news because obviously, this rib injury I think has been affecting his throwing somewhat. So, we saw some inaccuracies in the last couple of weeks, and obviously it really showed up too in the second half when Purdue had that difficult stretch of 3 straight turnovers. I think it was like a fumble, an interception, and then another fumble. And the interception was another kind of uncharacteristic O'Connell mistake. He doesn't typically do this, but he threw it behind Charlie Jones, and it went through Charlie's hands, and then the DB got, just reeled it in. So it's one of those things where you obviously want to see better, and it seems like he's getting healthier, and it seems like more receivers are getting involved because Mershawn Rice made a lot of plays. Great touchdown. At one point in that game, it was a difficult catch in the back of the end zone, back corner. You also had TJ Sheffield making some great plays. And Maryland put, a pretty athletic DB on Jones and kind of shut him down a little bit. But, that's why you get other guys involved. And obviously Payne Durham, huge plays down the stretch, especially late in the fourth quarter. Oh yeah. And I thought, by the way, you brought up that 2-point conversion. So Maryland fans have been chirping about this, and there's been video circulating on Twitter showing Cam Allen was not offsides. And the reason was because he timed it perfectly. He starts to go across, he starts to move right as the center is snapping the ball.
Yeah.
And you can see it in slow motion. So no, he was not offsides. And I'm gonna keep saying that.
The conversion was the ineligible man downfield, if you remember.
Wait, what?
The ineligible man downfield.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, well, yeah, the blocked extra point is what I was referring to. Right. Mix up. He was not offsides, no. But yeah, the 2-point conversion, they had an ineligible man downfield. I'm getting the plays confused. Ineligible man downfield. That was the correct call. We got a little lucky with that. You're right. And then, you just broke it up, and there you go. So you take the win, right? You just get back on the plane, you go home, you move on, you get ready for the next game. So I'm anticipating a fun crowd Saturday night. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And it's
Jackson. I wanted to get into. I think Purdue should be thrilled to have gone on the road and defeated Minnesota and Maryland.
huge wins.
I think a slight concern, at least for me. I don't know, if anyone out there listening, kind of wants to agree or disagree with this. I do wonder kind of how sustainable this model, so to speak, of Purdue's, past couple of games is, down the stretch. Purdue's just, I think I tweeted this on Saturday as well. Purdue's just been asking quite a bit from its defense, down the stretch.
Oh yeah, it has.
To get 3, 4, 5 stops in a row in the third and fourth quarter. Now I understand, like you mentioned, Jaden O'Connell, I don't quite think is healthy. I think the rib thing is still bothering him.
Yep.
But Purdue, it's no secret Purdue's a team that's built to score, and is prepared really to just kind of outscore people to get wins, right? So when you're asking your defense, to shut down Minnesota completely in the second half, when you're asking your defense to get 3 or 4 stops down the stretch against a really talented Maryland offense. I do wonder, kind of, is this Purdue's identity now? Is this just the coaching staff kind of saying this is what we got to do to win? How sustainable is this? Now, it is interesting when you're kind of looking down the schedule. Illinois is not a team that's going to score a ton of points. Iowa, we know, is a team sure as heck not to score a ton of points. Indiana, Northwestern. So I kind of wonder, how much of this is this really, one of the most talented Purdue defenses we've seen in a long time, or is this just kind of Purdue situationally being excellent the past couple weeks? Do you
Oh
have any
gosh,
thoughts?
I think it is one of the most talented defenses, and the reason is because we have better defensive line depth than we've had in a long time,
Absolutely.
and they've done a great job recruiting. Um, it's exciting to see all these big bodies. Brevard, the Penn State transfer, has been making plays.
Yep. Nick Perry.
Branson Dean has been really good. Corday Sidnor, man, did that guy come on Saturday? And he's
Jacob
young, right?
Wahlberg.
He's
Yeah.
what's that?
Jacob Wahlberg as well. Huge
Wahlberg,
recruit.
yeah, Wahlberg. I think the biggest key though has been Jalen Graham coming back because that guy is just
Yep.
so versatile, so athletic. All over the field, just making big plays. Big tackles. So that's encouraging too. I think. Yeah, I think the defense is playing well and the offense needs to pick it up. But like I said, I think O'Connell might be getting healthier, so that's a good sign. Might still bother him, but maybe his accuracy improves as it causes him less pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Jackson, I agree with you, and that
yeah,
to me that makes Purdue even more scarier down the stretch, right? I mean, if this defense kind of, even if the defense can kind of play 80%, of what it did this past 2 weeks,
mhm.
down the stretch, if Aiden O'Connell can get right, if Purdue can get healthy, get Elijah Canyon back on the field, get Brock Thompson healthy back on the field, Purdue's offense, if they're going to play like how we're accustomed to seeing, I think Purdue's going to be really clicking on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. Here's a question: do you see this as a trap game potentially?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you always got to be aware of that, especially with a team with an interim coach. I know Brian from GoldenBlack.com kind of mentioned that, and we even kind of saw that if you remember when Daryl Hazel was fired and Jared Parker, was the interim coach, and you just kind of saw a different energy with that Purdue team. You just kind of could tell they played a little bit harder. So I do wonder, if kind of this has rejuvenated Nebraska a little bit. They're 2-1 in the Big Ten. Granted their wins are against Indiana and Rutgers, not exactly world beaters there, but this is a Nebraska team that I think is coming in with confidence. This is a big game for them too, right? They're tied with Purdue in the first, for first in the Big Ten West. So
They are.
I
Yeah,
do think Purdue should be fearful. Purdue's a huge favorite here, 14 points. I think that's an awful lot of points. That
I don't
Purdue
think they'll
should be able to.
cover. I'd be
I think
shocked
it's
if they
unlikely
covered.
Purdue covers.
Yeah,
14.
I don't see it.
I was surprised. The line opened at 11, and I thought, okay, that's a touchdown and a field goal would be 10. Maybe Nebraska gets a backdoor cover, but
Yep.
14. That's an awful lot of points to cover. I think Nebraska comes in. I think they make it interesting. They've got 3 different receivers this year who have gone over 100 yards in a game. Their running back Grant has gone over 100 yards 4 times this year. That's awfully impressive. So I think Nebraska will come in. I think they'll be able to move the ball. I think this is just one of those games where Purdue, might just have to score 35 points to win the game, right? Nebraska's secondary is poor, and that's, I think, being generous. But I think Casey Thompson and those weapons for Nebraska, I think they make it tough on Purdue's defense. So, to circle back to your question, yeah, I think this does have the makings of a trap game for Purdue.
Yeah, I got to say though, Nebraska's last game, 14-13 over Rutgers. That doesn't exactly, to me, it doesn't strike a lot of fear. And this is kind of a mediocre Rutgers team, right? They're 3-3. So I don't know. I mean, I saw a stat. This is Golden Black reported this that Nebraska is ranked in the 120s nationally in pass protection, which makes me think our D line could potentially feast and have a lot of have a great game. So we don't have George Karlaftis anymore, obviously, but we've got dudes, we've got guys. So there's reason to believe things could go well for us. I do think the defense is going to continue to play well. That's one thing that I believe will happen. I know Nebraska has athletes, but it just feels like this unit is gelling. It has its best player back, like I mentioned with Graham. So, I feel pretty good about it. It's the offense I'm wondering about. Nebraska has a pretty low ranked secondary nationally, so you'd think we ought to be able to put up some points. To me, this game is going to come down to O'Connell's health. Like I said, I just feel like it's that kind of situation. You know, um, I don't know. I mean, if I had to predict, I'd say Purdue wins, but I don't think we cover. I think it's 3-7, 3 to 7 points.
Yeah, I mean that'd be another tight game. Purdue's played a lot of those this year. You mentioned kind of just the health of Purdue.
Yeah.
You hope Aiden O'Connell's good to go. Purdue's going to be missing Dylan Downing along with most likely King Doru. That's two running backs.
Yep.
Receiver room is still beat up.
Yep.
Rahman Yassin, still out. Canyon still out. Brock Thompson sounds like he's kind of iffy for the game. If I had to guess, he probably doesn't play. The injuries are kind of starting to pile up for Purdue on offense. So we'll just have to hope that we can get these guys back on the field. I also do want to shout out Chris Jefferson. Will be missing the game on Saturday to take care of some mental health. We absolutely wish him all the best. Chris, if you were to hear this, somehow take all the time you need, man. Absolutely prioritize your mental health. And Purdue Nation will be ready to welcome you back. Whenever you get back on the field, for sure.
Absolutely, and big respect for sure to him for prioritizing his mental health and putting that first. You love to see it. I think it speaks to more of society putting mental health ahead. And I'll just say it. I've dealt with my own issues, so it's great to have people in your corner. So I'm sure it was great for him to, I'm sure he's got teammates supporting him. I'm sure he's got the coaches supporting him, but maybe to hear from the fans too, because there were a lot of fans in his replies, saying, "Hey, wish you well. I want to see you back soon." But I think we might still be okay. So good luck to him. I hope we see him back. I hope he's good. I hope he's good. It's just you just never know. So I I mean, so let's look at so we as fans can obviously look down the road, right? We don't have to we don't have to be just focused on this game, but let's look down the road. Say hypothetically we take care of business against Nebraska. And we'll talk about this more next week, but Wisconsin, uh, Purdue hasn't had a win in football against Wisconsin in what is it, like 20 years, 15 to 20 years.
I believe it's 20 years exactly. It might be 19.
That's not something I can predict happening until it happens. You know what I mean? It's just like which is why right now I would say the best record we'll probably have at the end of the year is probably 9-3. Could be 8-4. I think 8-4 is.
For that game, though. That does make it interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. But November, well known as Bromvember, that's his best month when his teams really come together usually. So, and that's the schedule gets easier then because Illinois is going to be a tough game. Number one defense in the country. They're really, really good on that. They're really stout on that side of the ball. But other than that game, it's like IU is Northwestern is I'd say mediocre to bad. Iowa can't score. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to just be kind of on it. So Um, yeah, you just you hope for the best, and yeah, I'd say 8-4 is probably the most realistic record, but I do think 9-3 is possible.
For sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That would mean splitting Wisconsin and Illinois probably on the road and then winning the rest.
I'd feel more confident about Illinois if I had to choose, but Illinois is good, and it's not going to be an easy game, but between those two,
Yeah.
I feel better about Illinois. So, and man, what a job Brett Bielema has done there.
No kidding.
Um,
Yeah.
really, really impressive. The fact that even last year, his first year, I think he brought in some transfers, and they were good on defense last year. They had an inept offense. This year, they're not great on that side of the ball. Their quarterback was hurt in that Iowa game, so you can kind of write that one off. DeVito's okay; he's decent, but their running back Chase Brown is a hell of a player. So, um, you know, it'll be interesting. I'll be there in Champaign. It'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we've established that this could be a trap game. We're not really sure. Uh, Ryan, you're not going, are you?
Not as of right now. No,
Yeah,
unfortunately, I don't have season tickets. I mean, I'd
yeah.
love to. It's a little harder when you got a little one at home.
Oh, of course, yeah. How are you going to make the time? I mean, it'd probably be what, like one game a year if you could. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that
Or
that won't last forever.
yeah.
We'll
Well, hey,
start
it's
to
gonna be
grow.
frosty
So
before she knows it. So yeah,
right.
hopefully next year we'll get her maybe do a game or two. We'll just have to
Oh,
see.
yeah. Well, definitely. Um, One thing I'd like to get into a little bit, just because it's just rumors, but people keep talking about this Louisville thing. That um, Coach Brom was at some event in Louisville, and which obviously is home for him. It's home for a lot of his family, and he and his brother and his dad all played quarterback for the Cardinals. Somebody asked him about if he'd ever coach Louisville, and he made some like never say never comment, which was interpreted by Purdue fans in a negative way, and it's just been kind of all over the place. I gotta say, and I'll ask for your perspective in a second, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened, um, because the job is likely to open up after this season. They don't like Scott Satterfield. He hasn't won much. They have a new athletic director. Who knows, though? I mean, this athletic director is probably going to feel pressure to try Brom. But obviously, if he says no and stays at Purdue, they'll go somewhere else. But he probably felt in 2018 like he couldn't leave because he'd only been there a year and he hadn't done much yet.
Yeah,
Um, or maybe 2 years, right? Was it after the 2018 season?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he'd been there 2 years. Um, I, I, I don't know. I mean, I kind of think, you know, home might pull at the heartstrings. He might really want to, really want to be there. My question is, how does that weigh compared to potentially building a legacy in the Big Ten? These Big Ten jobs, if you get one, it's financially really stable. And this conference is becoming a super conference. It's going to get even better. The money is going to get way better. I don't know if you've seen, but when the LA market joins, the payout per school is supposed to get to, it was like 80 to 100 million a year. I mean, we're going to be able to pay him like ridiculous money, if he keeps winning. So, and Louisville's got, deep booster pockets. So, that wouldn't end things necessarily. But I mean, I believe if he were to go, and it is a possibility, I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we acted like it wasn't, you know. Um, I really trust Mike Babinski to make another good hire. And the reason is because he clearly, beginning in the process, so he fired Daryl Hazel after coming in like halfway through the 2016 season. 2017 or, early 2017, he zeroed in on Jeff Brom and hired his guy. So he's proved he can kind of, zero in. So should anything happen there, I feel good that it can be done again. But I'm curious about what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the Purdue fans' worst nightmare. I don't think this story is going away until he would
It won't.
leave for Louisville, right?
Yeah.
I think Scott Satterfield's probably out, like you mentioned, at Louisville after this season's over. I think Brom would and probably should be their number one target, right? I think they'd be ridiculous not to establish him as their guy.
And they will. They will.
Absolutely, they will.
Yeah.
I certainly would not blame him or have any ill will toward him if he were to leave for Louisville. I get it. Louisville's home for him, right? Just like Purdue's home for us. So I think he would have to make an awfully tough decision again, right? I do think that this is kind of a Purdue program right now where he's kind of sustained some success, right? I mean, a 9-win season last year, and really looks to be another at least 8 or so win season this year. So yeah, I just think the future in the Big Ten Conference and at Purdue, is incredibly bright, especially like you mentioned when you add the West Coast market, USC and UCLA set to join.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Jeff Brom really strikes me as the kind of guy who would stay just for the money. I think if his heart really is at Louisville, that he would get there. I just think stay at Purdue, and I think he's got a chance to be thought of kind of in that category with Joe Tiller. I mean, is that ridiculous to say?
I'll tell you what, this has been my thought for a while. I think if he stays at Purdue long enough, he will surpass Joe Tiller.
I don't think
And maybe be the best head coach in school history. And the reason why that's possible is because you look at what he's done already, completely transforming this roster, getting better players. We're much more physical and deep than we were even a couple years ago. And quarterback is starting to work out. You look at O'Connell and then what we have in the pipeline with Mike Alimo and Brady Allen probably battling for the job next season. I think you feel good about all that. And I think, one concern I will say, and this is going to happen now in this landscape anytime a coach leaves. And again, we're not saying it's going to happen. We're just saying it's a possibility that coach is probably going to take a lot of the roster with them. So I think you could probably, unfortunately, you might be able to count on one or two of these quarterbacks going with him. And, but the portal works both ways. And I mentioned this on the Knucklehead boards earlier. It goes both ways in that the next coach can bring in their guys. Those players might transfer with that coach to Purdue, and then they can use the portal to fill out the roster. So, it's one of those things where you're going to have a really different looking team the next year, but it's not a skies falling situation, especially when you have an athletic director who you can trust. And I believe we have that with Babinski. That's my thought.
Yeah, he
So,
came in and really
yeah.
just kind of immediately said, you know what, Daryl's really not our guy. And give him credit. I didn't see a whole lot of report. I know they were, Les Miles was kind of floated around. PJ Fleck was another guy you heard rumors. Really, I hadn't heard much about Jeff Brom to Purdue at all until the news was broken. So I would expect Babinski to kind of zero in on one, maybe two guys, and then kind of work behind the scenes, right? I'm with you, Jackson. I think Babinski is well equipped to help this Purdue football program sustain success. I mentioned it before here on this podcast, but it's really encouraging to me how the board, Babinski, all the higher ups have kind of identified and just made a commitment to Purdue football. Really, that going back 5 or so years, adding the lights, the new performance center,
bumping up salaries for the coaches.
Oh yeah.
This is just if Jeff Brom were to leave, I would think this is definitely a different kind of cycle for Purdue. One where they don't have to settle for guys like Danny Hope and pay him a very small salary compared to what other Big Ten coaches are making. I think this would be.
Do you think? Here's a question. Do you think Morgan Burke settled for Danny, or had to settle for Danny Hope, or do you think he just didn't really try and wanted to go cheap? I mean, it felt like he was running the athletic department in a really cheap way, and he was awfully frugal to the point where it hurt. It's like you've got to, especially on coaches, you've got to be willing to spend.
Yep, Danny Hope made $750,000 if I remember correctly, and now
that's embarrassing.
You can't even get a good assistant for that.
That's embarrassing. Yeah, I mean it's come a long way, and I mean you look at Mike Berghoff deserves a lot of credit, on the board of trustees for really kind of getting them in line and on board with investing in athletics. Because here's the thing, I don't know if you remember, the reporting was from Golden Black. Again, I'll cite the source, but the report was that before Jeff Brom was hired, when the program was in a really bad spot, it had become an embarrassment to the actual university, like the academic side of the university, how bad football was. Because you've taken something that fans care about. A lot of the alumni base follows sports and cares about this stuff. It's really, in my opinion, athletics are kind of what keep people connected to the university after they're gone in a lot of ways, right? Why else would you have a reason to care all that much aside from, maybe some endowments and some of the research happening? There's important research happening at Purdue, obviously, with cancer research, very important things. But, you're treating something seriously that a lot of people care about. And it had become embarrassing because the stands were empty, obviously, like you said, our head coach wasn't getting paid any money, but, Babinski comes in. We start selling alcohol, which is great. Everybody loves that, right? Gets people into the stands. Permanent lights are installed. Like two things that Burke should have done probably 5 years earlier, right? No brainers to get people to come to games. So I'm glad it finally happened, and then he hired his guy. So I just that's what the core of what we were getting at is that it sounds like, Ryan, you and I both agree that we have the right athletic director in place to hire a good coach.
For sure.
Should something happen with Louisville. So yeah, I mean, so I don't know. And we're just going to have to wait till the offseason to find out because none of this is going to go down until and we could have some issues happen though if Satterfield is fired before the end of the year, and then the rumor mill starts up, and that could be a distraction to the team.
It's just not going to go away, right? I mean, if Satterfield is fired and they come after Brom, don't get him, and then another coach comes in and lasts 3-4 years, and then he gets fired, it's just going to keep happening and happening.
Well, that's why we got to hope that they find a winner, right? I mean,
I think I would still maybe put my money on Jeff Brom coaching at Louisville eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would happen 10 years down the road. If he kind of would feel maybe in 7-8 years he thinks, hey, maybe I've kind of plateaued here at Purdue. I would love to go home and kind of finish out my coaching career at Louisville. I can kind of see something like that happening.
I kind of wonder if he might, and I'm trying not to wear gold colored glasses, like, oh, he's going to stay. But it's like, you kind of wonder does he see the potential for maybe really big things happening at Purdue where he's built it and it's kind of his baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of the worst programs in D1, you turn it into, an 8+ win program a year. We seem to be headed for another 8+ win season, so that would be 2 years in a row. I mean, and the regular season win total might be higher this year. I mean, like we said, 9-10 wins still on the table, still possible. So, I feel good about it. I think there are things Mike Babinski would do, because they'd obviously have to call him first and get permission to talk to Jeff. And there could already be back channel things happening at that point. Who knows? But there are things we can do and probably will do to make it harder for him to leave. If we went out, give him what he wants. It's at that point, you know what I mean? Because then we're talking about 10 wins would be like one of the greatest seasons in school history. Then I'm like, throw the bag at the guy, don't let him leave. That would be my thought at that point. But, I guess we're just going to have to see. And, not trying to perpetuate the rumor mill or anything, but it's just something that a lot of fans have been talking about. So it's just worth bringing up a little bit. Anyway, focused on Nebraska. So let's do predictions, I guess. What's your score prediction?
Yeah, I'm tempted to kind of pick Purdue to win by 3 touchdowns. I think Nebraska comes in and I think they'll play hard. I think they'll make it competitive. I don't see the secondary slowing down Aiden O'Connell and Purdue's offense. Unless of course there's Aiden O'Connell's more hurt than Purdue's letting on. I think Purdue will win 35-17. I think Nebraska maybe gets a late touchdown. So I guess I do pick Purdue to cover.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm going to say give me 31-27.
Okay, so close to
And
that.
yeah, and that's that's within a possession. But I think maybe closer to what you said. I think maybe Nebraska gets a late score to make it closer, make it look closer than it actually was. I mean, I do think Purdue's the better team, and I do think they will win. But I mean, yeah, I could, you could see it. So
I kind of think if Nebraska could only muster 2 touchdowns against a Rutgers team,
yeah, that's
really
yeah.
bad Rutgers team. I think Purdue's going to throw all kinds of blitzes at Casey Thompson.
Oh yeah.
I think they'll. How many sacks did they have last week in the Minnesota game? I can't remember. I think it was up 5 or so. I think they could easily eclipse that in this game as long as they contain Casey Thompson's legs. He loves to scramble. I think if they just kind of keep that under wraps, I think Purdue's defensive line is just going to be in the backfield all game long.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. All right, so we both think a Purdue win. Tell you what, I'm excited to be there. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a good time. Be a great crowd. I'll be there sometime in the afternoon tailgating. So, yeah, we'll just see. We'll find out, and it would be, I believe, 4 wins in a row.
Yep, 4 wins in a row.
If-
Heading into the bye. I mean, that hard to ask for much more, really.
I think the bye is after Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
I believe. I might be wrong, but that was what I remember seeing. I think it's between Wisconsin and the home Iowa game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. But, I mean,
Yeah, I had it wrong.
okay, yeah, I guess it is. But no, it's not a big deal. But just, yeah, I mean, you hope we're not looking ahead to Wisconsin. I think that's the main thing. So, take care of business at home. Don't think you're going to roll over them. They're going to have energy with this interim coach. And by the way, just everybody who's listening, keep an eye on Minnesota at Illinois. That's another big game on Saturday in the Big Ten West. Just because I don't know if DeVito is going to play Illinois' quarterback, but if he does, I think they could win. I would personally pick Minnesota just because I think Minnesota is really good, and if they have Mo Ibrahim back, you'd expect it. But I guess we'll just see. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Just check the website. I think I'm going to try to get something up in the next couple days of kind of just halfway through the season, kind of recap, kind of looking back at the first half, looking ahead to the second half. And I put up a Maryland post game the other day. So just, yeah, look for that. And yeah, thanks for listening. Boiler up, hammer down.
Good night. Thanks for listening.
Night, y'all.